The honourable member for Nelson.
Thank you, Mr President. I rise to move motion number 7, standing in my name. I can indicate that we will have a vote at the end of this, and hopefully it'll be a positive one. This is something I've been keen on us addressing in this place for some time. Mr President, a joint standing committee on electoral matters, and members will be aware, as I've communicated with them, that there's a slight adjustment to the previously tabled motion, done with discretion through the clerk, just to remove some wording. So we're working on that slightly updated motion. Mr President, why a joint standing committee on electoral matters? I do not intend to repeat in detail the full content of the background briefing paper that I circulated to honourable members here Friday afternoon last week. However, there are a few key points I need to place on the public record, as well as provide context to anyone who may be watching today. So let's start at the beginning. Why have a joint standing committee on electoral matters? Put simply, Mr President, participating in free and fair elections is a fundamental right for all Tasmanian citizens, potentially and a right sadly taken or being at risk of being taken for granted by some. And as I noted during my Governor's address in reply contribution, we do not have to look far globally to see other democracies being actively undermined, resulting in citizens losing confidence in those electoral systems. I do not think I need to convince anyone here of how vital it is that public confidence in the conduct of elections is actively maintained, that Tasmanians have no reason to doubt the robustness, the health and integrity of our democratic electoral systems. Tasmanians deserve to have full confidence in the administration of elections, and also to have an avenue by which to raise and have examined any questions, concerns or suggestions arising from their experience interacting with our electoral systems. Our Parliament can and must play a key role in maintaining that public confidence. At the outset, I wish to state very clearly on the public record that the establishment of the proposed Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters should in no way be interpreted as inferring there is any doubt about the validity of the outcomes of our most recent Assembly or Legislative Council elections. Of course, that is absolutely not the case. To want to invest in strengthening, protecting and enhancing all aspects of our democratic electoral infrastructure is about taking responsibility for this hard-won gift that is our democracy. This is the antithesis of undermining intentions. Nor is the establishment of the proposed committee a slight upon the Tasmanian Electoral Commission, the TEC, perceived or otherwise. It will not do the job of the Electoral Commission any more than the current Joint Standing Committee on Integrity undertakes the job of or undermines the Integrity Commission, for example. I will expand upon the relationship between the proposed committee and the TEC in detail a little later in my remarks. But briefly, Mr President, I should acknowledge that some members here have may be experiencing a slight case of déjà vu as we consider this motion, as some who were here at the time will recall this chamber debated a similar motion in 2021 regarding my previous attempt to establish a committee on electoral matters to examine the unique and unprecedented concurrent Assembly and Legislative Council elections which were held on the same Saturday in May of that year. And as detailed in the background briefing paper I circulated earlier, despite the 2021 motion passing this place, it did not pass the other place. Given differing circumstances, despite a common intent linking then and now, I do not intend to dwell on that former debate. But for the completeness of the public record, it would have been odd to fail to acknowledge that as part of our collective history here in this place and the ongoing developments occurring on this issue, we've got a little bit there to point to in our past. Mr President, the Commonwealth Parliament and the state parliaments of New South Wales and Victoria have all established their own joint standing committees on electoral matters. I've already circulated information regarding those examples, demonstrating jurisdictions which see such a committees fulfilling important democratic health checks for the community and an investment in public trust in the system, in their systems of governance. Rather than repeat that same information here now, I will instead highlight some common themes which I think are pertinent to our debate today on this motion. First is a key commonality being the routine nature of each of these interstate committees as established components of those parliaments' respective committee systems, no matter who may be in government at the time. This indicates a responsible multi-party commitment, along with independents, to the shared responsibility for maintaining, protecting and enhancing democratic, free and fair elections. The Federal Parliament's Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters is appointed under a resolution of appointment which is passed by both the House of Representatives and the Senate following the commencement of each new Parliament after a general election. Similarly, the New South Wales Parliament establishes its Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters via a motion of appointment passed by both the Legislative Assembly and the Legislative Council within a new Parliament's initial proceedings. The Victorian Electoral Committee is a statutory committee established under Section 9A of the Parliamentary Committees Act 2003 in that state. Another commonality is the diverse membership of these interstate committees. Current memberships across all three interstate examples have no less than 5 different political perspectives represented on them, an extremely important attribute in the context of encouraging public confidence and engagement. And crucially, Mr President, there's a congruity of scope shared across each of these interstate examples of established electoral matters committees. As a matter of routine, the establishing terms of reference for all 3 committees include